a daring freedom fighter and a fearless revolutionary. Chandra Shekhar Tiwari, popularly known as Chandra Shekhar Azad, was born on 23 July 1906 in a Brahman family in Bhavra, Madhya Pradesh, in the princely state of Alirajpur. His forefathers were from Bhadraka village of Unnao district of Uttar Pradesh. His mother, Jagrani Devi, was the third wife of Sitaram Tiwari, whose previous wives had died young. After the birth of their first son, Sukhdev, in Bhadraka, the family moved to Alirajpur state. He often used the pseudonym Balraj when signing pamphlets issued as the Commander-in-Chief of the Hindustan Socialist Republican Association, HSRA. His mother wanted her son to be a great Sanskrit scholar and persuaded his father to send him to Kashi Vidyapith, Banaras, to study. In 1921, when the non-cooperation movement was at its height, Chandra Shekhar, then a 15-year-old student, joined. As a result, he was arrested on 20th December. On being presented before the Parsi District Magistrate Justice M.P. Khareghat a week later, he gave his name as Azad, the free, his father's name as Swatantrata, independence, and his residence as jail. The angered magistrate ordered him to be detained in jail for 23 weeks and ordered him to be punished with 15 lashes a day. He received his early education at Bhavra and was sent to the Sanskrit Pathshala at Varanasi, Uttar Pradesh for higher studies. At a very young age he got involved in revolutionary activities. He joined the non-cooperation movement launched by Mahatma Gandhi. Caught by the British police while indulging in revolutionary activities, he was sentenced to 15 whiplashes as his first punishment. At that time he was merely 15 years old. It was after this incident that Chandra Shekhar assumed the title of Azad and came to be known as Chandra Shekhar Azad. His family's financial conditions meant that Chandrasekhar had to take up a job at a very tender age. His private tutor got him a job at the Tehsil office, but after some time Chandrasekhar ran away because every time some high official visited, he had to bow down before him, which he hated. In search of freedom, Chandrasekhar went to Bombay in the early 1920s with a peddler and worked as a coolie in the shipping yard. While living in Bombay, he got a first-hand experience of the deplorable conditions of the working class. He and the other laborers he used to live with ate and slept in a cramped shack with no ventilation. Chandrasekhar, a huge fan of movies, would watch a lot of films to avoid the uninhabitable shack. Commenting upon Azad's Bombay sojourn, his close colleague and biographer Vishwanath Vaishampayan writes, "He worked for 6 out of 7 days in the dockyard, and whatever money he earned, he bought a movie ticket and a new shirt on Sundays, throwing away the shirt which he had worn the entire week." But soon, Chandrasekhar got bored of this lifestyle and again, with the help of his former tutor, got admission to Kashi Vidyapith of Benares, from where his political career began in the fall of 1921 during the non-cooperation movement launched by Mahatma Gandhi. As a 15-year-old teenager, he became part of the movement, and when caught by the police during a demonstration, he was presented before the magistrate. The magistrate asked, "What is your name?" He replied, "Azad." "What is your father's name?" "Freedom." "Where do you stay?" "Prison." The magistrate was greatly infuriated with these replies and sentenced him to 15 whiplashes. Azad faced his punishment very bravely and cried, "Mahatma Gandhi ki jai" at each whip. This incident made him quite popular in Banaras and later became part of the folklore around Chandrasekhar Azad, as these replies of teenager Chandrasekhar got him his famous nom de guerre, Azad. Soon, young Chandra Shekhar became a regular part of meetings organized by the Congress leaders who used to introduce him as Azad after narrating the courtroom incident. Chandrasekhar actively participated in the non-cooperation movement, but its abrupt withdrawal left him anguished, because of which he started to drift towards the armed revolutionary movement. At that time, Banaras was an important hub of revolutionaries. Sachindranath Sanyal, along with other revolutionaries like Jogesh Chandra Chatterjee and Ramprasad Bismil, had reorganized the revolutionary movement in the United Provinces under the banner of Hindustan Republican Association (HRA). Azad, through Banaras-based revolutionaries Rajendra Lahiri and Manmath Nath Gupta, came in contact with the underground Revolutionary Party and became its active member. Initially, he was tasked with the distribution of pamphlets and acting as a courier between different members of the party. As an active member of the Revolutionary Party, Azad was also required to get acquainted with revolutionary literature. But due to his lack of formal education, Azad had several limitations in reading texts, so he got them to read from his comrades. In the course of becoming a full-fledged member of the HI, Azad read the biographies of Italian nationalists Giuseppe Mazzini and Giuseppe Garibaldi, Irish revolutionary Terence MacSwiney and Bandi Jeevan, the autobiography of Sachindranath Sanyal. He was also acquainted with texts like The Revolution of Ireland, History of Russian Revolutionaries, and biographies of Guru Govind Singh, Shivaji, Rana Pratap, etc., as they were part of the mandatory reading list for any new member of the party. Later, during the heydays of the HSI, Azad got his comrade Shiv Varma to read the Communist Manifesto to him. When Azad became the commander-in-chief of the Revolutionary Party, he used to borrow a book titled ABC of Communism from the writer Satyabhakt to teach socialism to his cadre. However, despite all these readings, he was biased towards practical actions. In 1925, Azad participated in the famous Kakori train robbery. Before this, Azad has also participated in other robberies carried out by the revolutionaries in various villages targeting big landlords. The Kakori episode proved to be detrimental for the revolutionaries as it brought them into direct confrontation with the British Raj. As police began a massive manhunt for revolutionaries, several were arrested and put into prison. However, Azad managed to escape and went to Jhansi, where he lived in disguise for some years. In fact, for his ability to move undetected between party hideouts, he was given the nickname Quicksilver by Bismil. On 19 December 1927, Ashfaqullah Khan, Ram Prasad Bismil and Roshan Singh, leaders of the Kakori conspiracy, were hanged by the colonial government. After the Kakori incident, the Revolutionary Party was in total disarray. Azad was the only member left outside of prison, and the responsibility of reorganizing the party fell upon him. In this monumental task, he got immense help from Punjab-based revolutionaries like Bhagat Singh and Sukhdev. Due to their combined and tireless efforts, a new crop of revolutionaries was ready to again challenge the mighty empire with renewed energy and a more developed ideology. In September 1928, several revolutionaries from North India met at the historic ruins of Feroz Shah Kotla and formed the Hindustan Socialist Republican Association. Chandra Shekhar Azad was chosen as the commander-in-chief of the party and head of the military department in absentia. The newly reconstituted HSRA largely retained the objective of the HRA but added two new points. First was the adoption of socialism as the ideology and goal of the party, and the second was about discarding all religious and caste symbols. Every member was supposed to do away with all religious and caste symbols like turban, tilak or jeno. The first action of the HSRA was the assassination of J.P. Saunders after the death of Lala Lajpat Rai, while the second was the bombing of the Central Assembly by Bhagat Singh and B.K. Dutt to protest against the Public Safety Bill and the Trade Disputes Bill. Both these incidents brought the Revolutionary Party into the limelight and created massive support and sympathy for them. However, these two incidents also proved to be the death knell for the HSRA as they led to the arrests of most of its leaders. 8th. Statue of Azad at Chandra Shekhar Azad Park, formerly Alfred Park, in Allahabad. On 27 February 1931, betrayed by one of the associates, the CID head of the police at Allahabad, Sir J. R. H. Notbauer, was tipped off by betrayer that Azad was at Alfred Park and was having a talk with his companion Sukhdev Raj. Azad's old comrades Veerbhadra Tiwari and Yashpal were also held responsible for tipping off two of the police constables. The police arrived at the park and surrounded it from all four sides. Some constables along with DSP Thakur Vishweshwar Singh entered the park armed with rifles and the shootout began. Raj escaped, uninjured. Azad hid behind a tree to save himself and began to fire from behind it. The police fired back. After a long shootout, holding true to his pledge to always remain Azad, free, and never be captured alive, he shot himself in the head with his gun's last bullet. In the shootout, Bauer and DSP Singh were injured in the right palm and jaws respectively. The police recovered Azad's body after the other officers arrived at the site. He is still a hero for millions of Indians, and many movies such as Shaheed Bhagat Singh, The Legend of Bhagat Singh, and 23rd March 1931 has characters based on his life. We are looking for your great support. Please subscribe, like, share and comment. Thanks.